Do you want to be able to get picks, heal yourself, and be tanky at the same time? Well, Roadhog is a solo carry for you. Roadhog is one of the best solo queue and competitive picks in general. He shines in the most unorganized play where he can easily pull off hooks unpunished. When not properly dealt with, he gets away with literal murder and will win games on his own. Sup guys, Good Gokrafer here, and if you want to learn how to play Roadhog, you've come to the right place. I'm going to cover everything you need to know about him as a character, including his kit, what he does and how to do it, as well as tips and tricks that you can use to get even more value out of Roadhog. Before we get in the video, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, why not leave a like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps my channel grow. But without further ado, let's get right into the video, starting with Roadhog's kit. Roadhog has a total of 600 health, which is a lot, but it does make him an ult battery for the other team. Roadhog's weapon is Scrap Gun. The Scrap Gun has two methods of fire, so we'll cover those separately. However, his weapon does share the same ammo pool for both firing methods. Scrap Gun holds 5 ammo and it takes 2 seconds to reload. The primate fire will shoot a short range blast of shrapnel. This attack is just a shotgun with really bad spread. Each shot has 25 pellets and each pellet deals 6 damage for a total of 150 per shot. I also do know that they are experimenting with some changes with Roadhog at the moment, so if this does change, I'll just leave a comment down below. But Roadhog can shoot every 0.85 seconds, and the damage will start to fall off at 15 meters, and out at 30 meters, the pellets will only be dealing 1.8 damage. But at that range, you're not hitting enough pellets to consider it damage. Also note that the pellets are projectiles, they just move really fast, and that each pellet can headshot for double damage. Roadhog's secondary fire is very similar to his primary fire, but works slightly different. When used, Roadhog will shoot out a lump of scrap that will travel for 8 meters and then it will explode and shoot shrapnel like the shotgun. If you hit someone with the lump before it explodes, it will deal a flat 50 damage, and at the end of the 8 meters where the scrap explodes, the blast is exactly the same as Roadhog's blast from his primary fire. You know, it shoots 25 pellets dealing 6 damage each for a total of 150. It even shares the same rate of fire of 0.85. This pretty much just makes it a longer range shotgun blast from Roadhog, and it's extremely satisfying to hit someone at that sweet spot where the lump explodes and all the pellets hit. Roadhog's first ability is Take a Breather. When activated, Roadhog will after a half a second animation start to regen 300 health over the span of a second, which by the way is equal to the heals per second which Transcendence can heal for. After the second heal, there is another 0.5 second animation. While using Take a Breather, Roadhog gains 50% damage reduction, having all damage received for 2 seconds. Take a Breather has an 8-second cooldown. Roadhog's second and most important ability is Chain Hook. When activated, Roadhog will throw out a chain in front of him. If he hits an enemy, he will then pull them towards him. Pulled targets land 3 meters in front of Roadhog, where Roadhog can proceed to shoot and likely kill the hooked target. The hook has a 0.3 second cast time and a max range of 20 meters. When the hook hits, it deals 30 damage and stuns the targets, which means it can be used to cancel certain abilities and ultimates. Chain Hook has an 8-second cooldown. Finally, Roadhog's ultimate is Whole Hog. Now, full disclosure, this ultimate on paper sounds OP, so let's just have a look at it. When activated, after 0.5 seconds of casting animation, Roadhog will constantly load Scrap Gun, sending out a constant stream of shrapnel. He shoots 128 pellets a second, with each pellet dealing 7 damage, with no damage fall off. This means that his hypothetical DPS is 896 with just body shots, and it will go up to 1792 damage a second if all the pellets he hits are headshots. Whole Hog's duration is 5.5 seconds, which means that his total potential damage if all pellets hit heads is a total of 9,856. Now, I should probably do some explain on why you will almost never reach that theoretical DPS. First off, each pellet applies knockback onto the enemy. The more pellets, the more knockback. Secondarily, is just how the pellets spread out. They spread out in an almost entirely horizontally with almost no vertical spread across your entire screen. The only way if you hit all the pellets onto an enemy is to literally shove the gun into their body, and with the knockback, it's almost impossible as they will always be moving away from you. Other important things to note is that Roadhog is unable to use any other abilities or cancel the ultimate once it is started, and he receives a minus 25% movement speed penalty. I think that's everything to do with this kit, so let's just go over what type of character Roadhog is and how you should go about playing him. Roadhog may be classified as a tank, but he's probably the least suited to be a tank. Unlike the other tanks, he has no way to mitigate or block damage, and no direct way to take space. So Roadhog has just to take a different approach to being a tank, and that approach is just to kill people. You create space by having people run away from you. It's actually just that simple. If they're within your hook range, they should die. You punish poor positioning and get picks like nobody's business. Your own individual tankiness is what allows you to walk up and chuck your hook, get a pick and walk away. However, since hitting hooks is incredibly important to his playstyle, a Roadhog that can't land these hooks is almost useless as a tank. Getting those hooks is how you solo carry games. If you eliminate your counters early on, there is literally nothing that most characters can do against you except keep their distance. Let's move on to tips and things that you need to know to play Roadhog at its highest potential. Let's start with a combo to finish someone off once you hook them. This is a really simple combo that, when done correctly, will one-shot all non-tank characters in the game. It starts off with you landing a hook. Then once you have pulled them in, you immediately use your primary fire, then melee. This will kill most characters, and you may need to take a little step forward right after you pull them, just to ensure that all the pellet hits against characters like Ana and Lucio, which have a bit of a smaller hitbox. But you can only do that against characters that don't get out of a jail free card like Tracer or Mei. This will also be your go-to method for getting picks and confirming kills. Let's have a quick chat about using primary fire versus secondary fire. As we've discussed, both firing modes have the same damage, spread and fire rate, so the only difference between the two is that the secondary fire explodes 8 meters further away. This means that at any distance that is 8 meters away or further, you should be using your secondary fire. It will deal significantly more damage, just everywhere pretty much, but whenever someone comes close to you, you do need to be using primary fire, as secondary fire will be useless. When using Take a Breather, you may have 50% damage reduction, but you're still very easy to hit. So, when you're using Take a Breather in the line of fire of the enemy team, it may be helpful to turn around and hide your head hitbox. This will drastically help to increase your survivability in fights, especially when versing a hit scan like Soldier 76, who keeps spraying you down with headshots. Other things you can do with Take a Breather include using it when at full or high health to gain the damage resistance to a tank and ability that would normally kill you. The perfect example is D.Va's Self-Destruct. This ability deals 1000 damage up close, and as Roadhog you can stand next to it, activate Take a Breather, and right as it's about to detonate, you'll gain the 50% damage reduction, putting you down to 100 health, but then immediately healing you back up to 400. There is a little trick that you can do when you go for a hook to increase your damage just as a little, but it will significantly help you when it comes to one-shotting the enemies. This little trick is as simple as shooting your secondary fire before hooking or primary fire if you're up close. The hook will cancel out the wait time between shots, and you basically get a shot in for free. At range, this doesn't deal much damage, but just think about how many times you've hooked a target only for them to escape on 1 HP. By doing this, you will help to eliminate those scenarios. Now, let's have a little talk about the ult. To be honest, Roadhog's ult was weird. On paper, it deals broken damage. It's actually insane how much damage it does. But in reality, you cannot deal anywhere near that damage. The more pillars you hit, the more damage you're dealing, but also the more knockback you're applying. The only way to close your gap on your targets is to pin them against a wall with a roof. If you manage to pin them against a wall, the knockback will start to fly them up the wall, which is why you need to have the roof. And if you're in position where they are inside, near a wall, your ultimate will kill anything. And it's especially good at killing tanks as they have such a fat hitbox, allowing you to hit more pellets. Your ult, however, does leave you very vulnerable as you cannot cancel it, you cannot heal, and you cannot move at full speed. So do remember this when you try and use your meat grinder. Anyway guys, that's all I have in terms of my Roadhog guide. I know I haven't been as active in the past month, and well, that's because I was getting destroyed at uni with tons of work. And at the moment, I'm in my mid-semester break, which lasts for 1 week, and I plan on making 2 more guides during this week before I have to go back for midterms. Which I am in no way ready for, but that's a later Griffo issue. But yeah, sorry for lack of videos, but it's been really busy, and uni takes priority. So, if you guys enjoyed the video, or learned something new, why not leave a like and subscribe. Till next, see you then.
lights up, but it's never you. I can't help but feel so